This will be your New York Pro recap for the Fit Model division. So before I get into the recap for this division, I think there's a couple points to highlight that are very important. So obviously this was the first pro show that I've seen for Fit Model since the pro show started this year. One huge thing is anybody that is saying or complaining about the muscularity and size of these girls or the conditioning of these girls is straight up crazy, okay? Basically, we had 37 girls here, and there were a few girls that I said you need to streamline down the muscle a little bit more. But if you were at this show and in person, you can see the competitors know what the look is that we're looking for in this division. No one looked big. No one looked hard. No one looked like they were even coming close to the muscularity and conditioning of what we see in the next division up in bikini. Everybody basically knows what we want, and it was very clear at this show. So another thing I want to say is this division, because they do have a less amount of muscle and a less amount of conditioning, pictures and videos are very misleading for this division. If you are not personally at the show for this division, I do not think anyone is qualified to say what they think was going on, because I have now judged this pro show. I've judged a lot of amateur shows over the past year and a half, and I have seen pictures of these girls, and I can see from a picture that someone like, wow, this girl looks amazing in this picture, and I saw her in person and she was soft. She might have been a little bit too thin, other things, right? I've also seen it the opposite way, where I've seen a picture and I'm like, wow, this girl really doesn't look that good, and in person she looked great. So I think pictures and videos are very misleading because they don't have that much muscle. So any little lines or outlines of things can change the way these girls really look and come across in pictures and videos. So it's not the best tool to use to judge this division. Also, speaking on this division, the girls need to make sure you are wearing proper Fit Model suits. That means the proper coverage, especially on the Fit Model bottoms. If you're wearing too small of a suit, you will be marked down for it. So this is going to go across the division. Obviously, we don't want them wearing bikini suits. You're not supposed to wear bikini cuts. Stop shrinking down the size of the suits. That is not what we want to see. As you can see, the top 4 girls had on Fit Model suits at this show. Make sure you have the proper suits. So stop going to the suit makers. Stop trying to get smaller suits. It's not going to do you well. You might sneak through at a show here or there. Maybe it doesn't get caught. But I'm telling you right now, at the bigger shows, at the pro shows, it is being watched for and it will be caught. Don't want to be marked down because of it. Okay, now let's get into the recap of the top 4 here. Like I said, the overall lineup was very strong at this show. I think there was a lot of good girls that were exhibiting what we want to see in this division. So we'll go into the top 2 first. In first place, we had Gabriella. I think she brought a very, very good look for Fit Model. So for Gabriella, she is a little bit taller, and really for her, my only feedback would be, I think that she can streamline down her legs just a hair, just a touch. Other than that, the conditioning that she brought was very, very good. Her presentation and posing was very good. Again, like I said just before, wearing a proper suit. And I thought the amount of glute fullness that she exhibited was very good. So if you're looking for Fit Model, what your glutes should look like, I think she is a great example of what they should look like. They are not overly developed. They don't look anything like bikini. However, they do still have some development. I would say they do still have some firmness to them, especially when she walks. They're not soft, okay, but she doesn't have tie-ins like you have in bikini. So she exhibits a little bit of glute depth. Again, not the same amount of depth as bikini, but still some. So you see that development there. The firmness in the walk, it is not overly conditioned, but is not overly soft. Again, from the front, you can see good balance between her upper and her lower body. She has slight definition and development to her shoulders. They are not capped. They are not hard. The arms match the shoulders. They aren't too thin. They aren't too thick. And the overall balance was very good. And you see her presentation. She shows off her waistline well. Everything is flat. There's slight definition in the waistline. There's no separation in the legs. Everything looked very, very good. In second, and a very close second, we had Carla. I think Carla brought a very, very strong look to this show as well. In my opinion, when you look at her and Gabriella, I think in the front pose, Carla's front pose is actually just a little bit better than Gabriella's. Again, everything I said about Gabriella goes for Carla. Very good balance between the upper and the lower body. As you see, the conditioning is spot on. She has just slight development to her shoulders, not too much, not too big, not too hard. Her arms match her shoulders and they are symmetrical. Her waist is good. Her waistline is great. Comes in to the legs. The legs, I think, are the proper size for her figure, for her physique. Nothing is too hard. And when you just compare their two front poses, I just think her front pose wins over Gabriella's just by a hair. Now we go to the back pose, and I think Gabriella won this back pose by just a little bit more than what Carla beat her in the front pose. For me, that was the differentiating factor. I think Carla can use just a little bit more fullness to that upper glute. So again, though, proper fullness to the glutes, the legs match, the conditioning was there. You don't see hard tie-ins. You don't see too much depth, definition, and everything else. So again, really good representation of what we want to see in Fit Model. In third place, we had Aisha. I think Aisha brings a very, very strong front pose. Again, you see all the same proper development that I just mentioned in the other two girls in Aisha. The conditioning, again, very, very on point for what we want to see in Fit Model. And I just think for Aisha, the main thing she needs is a little bit more overall glute development and fullness. And this is probably something I should have said at the beginning, but I'll say it now. When you're receiving feedback from judges, they should be very careful in telling you everything is only a little bit. It's a tiny bit with this division. So if you go and you shrink down too much or you gain too much muscle, you're putting yourself at risk of changing your physique drastically and probably changing your placings drastically. Everything is going to be small little tweaks. And when I say small, I mean very, very small. So you should not go overboard with anything that you're doing when you're changing your physique in this division. If you need a little bit more overall development, that means a tiny, tiny bit. Okay, so the tweaks in this are going to be very small. Posing and presentation is going to be a big factor in how you're showing off your physique. Only do things in very small increments. Can't say it enough because we see it in other divisions, and that's just what happens when you get in bodybuilding. People over or underdo stuff drastically. It hurts you when you're in other divisions. It's going to really, really hurt you in this division specifically, because you don't have as much muscle and you don't have the conditioning to play around with this stuff in drastic ways. So only fix things very, very small. Finally, in fourth place, we had Emily. I think Emily, again, she brought a very good package to this show. I think for Emily, when looking at her between the other girls in the top four, she could use slightly more fullness to her upper body, just very, very slight. I actually think it might just be because the peak was just slightly off compared to the three girls in front of her. I think if she peaks just a touch better, she might have that overall pop and fullness that she needs. And then for the back pose, I think just slightly more fullness to the glutes. Again, this might be able to be changed just by that slight change in the peak. But at this show, I think she was just missing just a little bit with those glutes at this show. But again, nitpicking, obviously, she took 4th out of 37 girls. She's already won a show. She's obviously a very, very good look for what we want to see with Fit Model as well. So hopefully this whole entire review is going to give all the athletes and the coaches a clear picture of what we want to see, what we did see, and honestly what I think what we are seeing, because I've already been overseas here in the US this year and last year at pro qualifiers, at regional shows, and I really think people are understanding what the look is we want to see. So the people out there or anybody out there that's saying it's going this way or going that way and making these broad, general, big statements are completely off base, because I don't know what they're looking at, but the girls and the athletes here brought what we want to see in this division. Hi everyone, Tyler Mannion here, NPC